My name is Ras Lohari, and today we are going to discuss Precis Writing. First thing, what is the meaning of this word Precis? Well, it is a French word. The term Precis is derived from a French word which means precise or accurately expressed. Roughly speaking, it means an abstract or a gist of a longer passage or document. So if you want to make a précis of a given passage, you will have to take its main points and you will express them clearly in as few words as possible. It's in fact, précis is a concise form, or it's a compact form, or it's a condensed form of a passage, the given passage. It should be lucid and succinct, terse, having minimum words. But it should have all the leading parts, the main idea, the tone of the passage, and the overall general effect of the passage must be best summarized in the précis. Précis writing is not paraphrasing. Paraphrasing, you have to express all main ideas and with full detail and all, and you don't have to decrease the word limit or the length of the given passage. It's the same. But Précis has all the ideas, but you have to reduce it to one third. And there are three things in Précis. Number one, there are three requirements. The précis must fulfill these three requirements. Number one, it must be in the form of a continuous narrative. That is, it must not consist of disjointed sentences. It should include all the important ideas expressed in the original passage. It should rigidly exclude all that is unimportant and irrelevant. Where we use Précis well for reading, it could be very helpful. It's Précis writing is a very helpful exercise in reading. Most people read carelessly and retain only a vague idea of what they have read. Nothing provides a stronger corrective to such a habit of cursory reading than the practice of putting down briefly the substance of what has just been read. So if you want to make a précis, you can summarize those main points, and that it's a good idea. You can have those main points expressed. In writing, you have to write précis clearly, concisely, and effectively. It gives you a clarity of reading, and you also understand the organization, thought, content of the passage. In practical life, it is also useful. Practice in précis writing is of great value in practical life. It teaches us to express our thoughts in as few words as possible and to express them clearly and effectively. Words are like leaves, and where they most abound, much fruit of sense beneath is rarely found. By practicing compression, you learn to economize words and therefore to be precise. Précis writing, so it's always, it's a good idea that every day when you read Dawn newspaper, if you have read one article and there are 6 or 8 paragraphs in it, you know what is the best thing? You can convert those paragraphs into single liner, each paragraph into one liner. So in this way, after reading one article, you should, let's suppose of 8 paragraphs, you can write 8 lines and also give a heading. What are the essentials of a good précis? Well, number one, it must have all leading thoughts because, and plus, the general impression of the passage. If you are not giving the general impression, then it would be just like an empty skeleton. Second point is it should be continuous narrative, compact piece of prose. It should not leave an impression that it was a series of disjointed sentences. It should be a compact whole. So don't borrow sentences from the passage and write it in the form of a continuous narrative. Another point about Precis writing is the Precis should be clear. Clarity of ideas. That is right. If you are describing a picture and you don't understand what is given in that picture, how will you describe it? So that's why read, understand the passage, and only then you'll be able to express it in your own words. It should be brief, precise, succinct, terse. Try to use minimum words. Take all the ideas, make notes, prepare rough draft, then final draft. But always keep in mind that economy of words, that is the key. Shakespeare says brevity is the soul of wit. So try to use minimum words. Don't give figures of speech, examples, illustrations. Yeah, if there are some examples, evidence, statistical data, try to read, understand, and see what is the point these things refer to, or they allude to, or they are trying to make such things. If they are given, they definitely make a point. So try to make a specific point about them, but don't include these detailed illustrations. About brevity, one more point. Like it's not only the brevity that is important. A précis must be brief, but it should also be exact. So correctness, exactness, that is also important. Précis should not be sketchy. It should be complete and contain all that is important in the original. Finally, learn to distinguish what is essential to it and what is not essential. So, what you have to do, you have to read the passage, read it 3 times, read it like to understand the meanings, then read it and see what is the grammar, the tenses, then see what are the words which are given, and then underline and decide how many ideas are there. 5 ideas, 6, 7, 8, and you can mark off or separate those ideas. So in fact, you select units of thoughts, and after that, deselect what is unimportant. Select the important points, deselect the points which are not important. Now, there are some of things which you need to avoid. What are the points? Number one, avoid your own comments. Confine yourself, focus on the main ideas. Don't give your comments, don't criticize, don't give your opinion, don't explain, don't start discussion. You will have to make a précis of the given passage. You will have to select ideas and units of thoughts from the passage, and you will have to condense them. Remember, this is the key. Make no additions, no comments. Do not insert anything additional you may know about the subject, and do not praise or blame any statement of the original passage. Sometimes you think the information is, you disagree with it, or you believe that it's incorrect. Don't try to correct it. Do it as it is given. Avoid, another important thing that you need to avoid is avoid borrowing words, phrases, expressions, sentences from the passage. You will have to underline the keyword. You will have to think of their synonyms and express them in your own words. Yes, if there is a word election, education, democracy, and friction, you may use such words. But because their alternative words or their synonyms may be they may sound or they may look awkward. In such words, you can use them, but don't overuse this thing. Try to avoid using words given in the passage or sentences. Students borrow sentences from the passage. You don't have to do that. You'll have to express your précis in your own words. Avoid emphasizing the wrong point. Sometimes students emphasize on the wrong point and they don't lay stress. They won't put stress on the right points. So you have to select the right points and emphasize them. Avoid bad style, like your sentence structure. Similarly, avoid exceeding the length by 5 words. Okay? It should not be by more than 5 words. Plus minus 5 words, that's okay, but don't. So reduce it to 1/3. What you can do, you have prepared rough draft. First you make notes, then you prepare rough draft, and then you prepare final draft. So in rough draft, you can check these words. Similarly, when you're making final draft, when you reach 70, 75%, stop there and see how many words have you done? How many words are left? So if you have done 75% of your précis and 25% is left, and there are 2 points. So now in these 2 points, you will have to cover the words. If there are 3 points, you will have to cover it within that given time. Avoid all introductory remarks, avoid illustrations, avoid examples, anecdotes, stories, side remarks. All these things should be avoided. Similarly, similes, metaphors, and any statement that has been repeated. Now, what is the method of précis? That is, first thing is read the passage. Read it 2, 3 times. Read with a purpose. It should not be reading for fun. Read with a purpose. When you're reading, you are in fact selecting units of thoughts. So that is the key. And read it 3 times. And then try to see its tenses. Then check vocabulary. And after that, see the overall tone, the overall impression. And then you can separate different thoughts, select different thoughts, like 5, 6, 7, 8, how many thoughts, units of thoughts have been given. Then make a rough draft, and after that, final draft. In the end, you will give a heading. How to find the title? You have to supply a title for the précis. When you're reading the original passage, think of some word, phrase, or short sentence that will sum up the main idea of the passage. Sometimes the title is supplied by what we may call the key sentence, the opening sentence. The key sentence is usually found either at the beginning, or it will be either at the beginning or at the end of the passage. Similarly, you can see what is the structure of that passage. Is it physical description? Is it process description? Is it chronological description? Is it special description? You have to see. If it is physical description, it can be about person, place, thing. If it is process description, it will be a process, agricultural, industrial, mining. If it is special description, it will be location-wise. Similarly, a description of a topic, location-wise. If it is chronological description, it will be about an event, and that will be given on the timeline. So you will have to work on it, and it will be easy for you to find out. Similarly, it can be a narrative passage or narration in which there will be an event or incident. Or it can be an exposition if the topic is abstract. Usually the first lines, sometimes they have a hint, like number 1, the very first lines, they have a term and the keyword of definition. For example, if the passage is global warming, it can be global warming refers to, or if it is about greenhouse, it will be greenhouse effect is not a new phenomenon. So you will see that the first lines or the first sentences will have the term and then keyword of definition, like refers to, is, means, is defined as. So you will have to find out manually, or read it again and again and see what is the recurrent idea, which idea is being repeated. Or You can divide your précis into three parts. Number one, one third, then middle one third, and last one third. Three parts. Each part, try to ascertain, try to find out, try to guess what is this first third, second third, and last third part. Um, what is it about? And give a heading, and then combine the three headings and make one heading. If your heading is longer, don't worry, but try to make it short. Try to make it. Like you can learn it from one word substitution. Learn the whole list of one word substitution. Number two, read Dawn newspaper every day and make a précis of one article and get it checked by your teacher. But read every day. Read books such as Ariel Durant and Will Durant books, lessons from history, uh, Mansions of Philosophy, Flashes of Philosophy, similarly Bertrand Russell's books, and there are many other books. So you can read those. Dawn newspaper every day. And last thing, that is past papers. Look at the précis and solve them, and then get them checked. Number one, read. After reading, next thing that you will have to do in your reading, that is detailed study of the passage. You will have to study the passage in great detail. Read, find out the title, study in detail. What do you mean by study in detail? Study in detail means further reading is necessary to ensure that you understand the details of the passage as well as its main idea. Read sentence by sentence, word by word, because your inability to understand the passage may cause you to miss the point. You should not miss any of the important points. Then selection. Now you should decide which parts of the passage are essential and which parts are unimportant. You have to select the most important, and you have to all leading thoughts, and you have to deselect what is not important. Then write rough draft. After the rough draft, then write neat draft, and then in the end, check it. Spelling, grammar, punctuation, and article, tenses, and then in the end, you will have to give a title, suitable title to the précis. Some important uh, instructions. Number one, write down all the important points in the passage so as to form a framework of your epitome. Similarly, write out your précis, having a general idea of the whole extract in your mind and the framework you have drawn up before you. Write as simply, clearly, and effectively as you can. The parts of your epitome should bear the same balance and proportion in relation to one another as the parts of the original. Otherwise, your epitome will distort the effects. Remember that the object of précis is to give a true summary of the original. Add nothing to add you to add nothing to your epitome which is not in the original, and omit nothing which is important. Another instruction is it is usually advisable to follow the order in which the ideas have been given in the passage, but you may change the order. That is, if you have a better order, you can. Next, précis must be one third. Because if you exceed the word limit, you will be penalized. But a few words more do not matter. And another instruction is précis must be as an organic whole. Its part must be well joined, they must be knit together invisibly, and there should be no sudden or abrupt transition. And yes, direct and indirect speech. As a rule, précis should be written in indirect speech. Great care must be taken to avoid lapsing into direct speech. A very common fault. The direct manner of narration should be changed into indirect manner of speech if the original passage is in the direct speech. So you can work on number one word substitution, number two, direct and indirect. These second and third thing, person. The summary should be in the third person. First person should be changed into third person. If the original passage is in the first person, you should change it into the third person while making the précis. Now, let us sum up the discussion. Number one. So, these points will enable you to summarize the passage into 1/3. Number one. First, read the passage carefully several times if necessary to understand thoroughly its main theme or general purpose. Two, examine the passage in detail and make sure of the meaning of each sentence, phrase, and word. You should understand it because clarity of ideas, that is very important. Supply a short title which sums up or indicates the main theme. And this title is not just the introduction or the conclusion. It should sum up the whole passage, all. It should reflect the general impression and the whole passage. Do not extend the limit of words prescribed. Do not borrow words, phrases from the original. Your summary should be in your own words. And it should not be just copied from the passage. Your précis should be a self-contained and connected whole. Add nothing, make no comments. And there should be no mistakes in spelling, grammar, and punctuation. Similarly, it should be in the past tense. But if it is about universal truth, then you can write in the present tense as well. Thank you very much. Good luck. Now you can practice.